Hello, and welcome to Things That Fall Out of My Head. Today we are looking at Chapter 2, Month 2 of The Tale of Many Warhipsters. What that means is that Josh over at the Warhipster channel, along with Adam and Rich, set the challenge of completing a unit for a new army every month for 12 months, so that at the end of that year you have yourself a new army to play with. Now, I chose Knights as my army, and this month I was painting up the second of my 10, yes, count them, 10 armatures that I'm going to need to complete over the next year, alongside a couple of regular Knights that I'll be doing as well. Last month I painted a swamp-themed Knight with a lot of, grass and grunge all over it, and this month I wanted to do something that was kind of the polar opposite of that. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I have my new painting rig lights set up, ready to go. Unfortunately, I didn't get those in time to record any of me painting this particular model, so hopefully I'll be able to get some footage of the process for next month's entry. So the theme of this month's entry still revolves around the idea of abandoned engineering, and whereas last month I had a model that was abandoned somewhere and it was being reclaimed by nature, if you like, this time I wanted to have something that looked like it was abandoned somewhere dry and dusty and rusty and horrible. So my challenge was how to make something visually interesting using a somewhat limited range of paint colours. I knew that I was going to be using mainly the Army Painter range because that's the big set that I have, but there were a couple of technical paints from Games Workshop that I wanted to use, mainly Typhus Corrosion, the technical paint, to give that kind of gritty, rusted look. And also the Riser Rust new dry paint, or saying new, it's been out for a while now, but new to me, because I'd seen some test models that people had done. I really liked the orange colour from it. In order to give my rust effect a little bit more interest and variation, I actually started off with a dry brush of the wonderfully named paint called Crusted Saw, which is, you can see it mostly on the shoulder pads here. It's kind of a deep reddy purple. And I just thought it would provide a nice counterbalance to the orange, and I could play with different dry brushes to get a bit of variation of tone across the model. I also decided that the mechanical parts of the torso piece there were going to be some kind of green hue, so I applied many coats of Typhus Corrosion to give them a little bit of texture, and then went in on the green scale with that, just to imply some kind of different corrosion and to have a bit of a change across all of this orange and purple. I also used this when I was painting the eyes, which I'm really still not happy with, but they are what they are, to give you another little green counterpoint there. But also the ends of the weapons and the exhaust housings, they were very heavily dry brushed black just to add another colour to the model to break it up a little bit. And it's that along with the base. I'm getting my basing skills down now a little bit. Unfortunately, I didn't have the exact colour of miniature flowers that I wanted. I was hoping to get some blues or greens in there, but yellow seemed fine. And I just tried to include as many different grasses on there. And I'm really pleased with how that came out. This is going to be the way that I do my bases moving forwards. I also thought that maybe the lower legs could have been somewhere for me to introduce a new colour, so I used another GW technical paint. It's one of the Agrellan ones, to coat the lower legs kind of up to the knee, and then I could introduce some green tones and some yellows in the dry brushing I was using on those, just to, provide more of a breakup in the colours. And I suppose narratively, it's like this machine has been standing knee high in muddy water, and the top half of it has corroded while the bottom half has stayed covered in mud. I don't know, I think it looks great. It doesn't always have to make sense. So once all of the dry brushing was done and I was happy with the variation in colour over the model, I went in with, I think it was Stormhost Silver, and I really like GW silver paints, and just started chipping all of the edges just to define all of the hard edges on there, because it was looking a little bit soft and undefined and I'd always planned to have chips and damage on there to kind of emphasise the shapes of the model, but it really, to my eye, made it look way better than just the plain orange. It was looking very matte and muted, and I wasn't overly happy with it, but I thought, no, let's plough on, let's get the chipping done, see how it turns out, and then I can see if I need to apply some more filters or washes to different parts. And I did still do that. In some of the more subtle recesses, I went back in with dark tone and strong tone from the Army Painter range just to give a little bit more definition. But I was pretty happy with it after that chipping stage. But even so, once this was finished, I still thought there was something lacking on the model. I was pretty happy with the variation of colour on there. It's all mainly orange, and it's kind of a big statement colour, and I like that, and I like the little variation on the shoulder pads. But something I'd been looking to include, not necessarily on this particular model, but somewhere in this project, were the idea of graffitied or further abandoned technology. And I remembered many years ago for another project, I was looking at pictures of Second World War tanks, specifically how troops would graffiti them or decorate them. And I thought, why not? Let's include it on here. I can do it in white. It will be another pop colour. I think this is an off-white I'm using here from Army Painter, maybe mixed with the matte white because it's got really good coverage. And I just had a bit of a look around on the internet, see what I could find. And the numbers and the kill markings, they're just random. I just picked numbers and panels and thought, let's just break this up a little bit. I've been very self-conscious of the rings painted around the weapons because my freehand skills are awful. But I thought, well, these things are being done in the field by the pilot of this mech. They're not going to be perfect. He's using whatever he's got. So I just went with them, made them as neat and straight as I could. But they are what they are. It all adds to the character of the model. I then also thought maybe putting a name on the left shoulder pad. And I went back and forth on names for forever. But one of the things I was noticing in the reference photos I was looking at is that any names or any slogans that were painted on these tanks had a little bit of levity to them, just to boost morale. And I thought, I know it's going to be world-breaking, but let's just put Thor on here. He's the god of thunder, and what do big guns do? They make a lot of noise, so let's call him Thor. Couple of lightning bolts, because he's bringing the thunder. I know it's not in universe, but I don't care. I'm really pleased with it. Originally, I was going to try and freehand a design on the main sensor hull itself, but after trying to write these letters and numbers on there, I realised my freehand skills are not going to be up to it. So it was something else I took inspiration from Second World War tanks, is if your tank squadron was involved in a particular battle, or you were the first into a city or a town you were trying to liberate, I saw a lot of occurrences of first in and then wherever it was they were going into. So I went online, looked up a list of names of hive cities. I picked Decius or Decius. I think it's part of the Vostroyan system. But I picked that one because it sounded cool, and also there is no associated history with it, so I can't be altering any sort of in-game stories. I'm not affecting anything by saying this guy was first in there, and I'm really pleased with how that came out. I think it looks like it's been handwritten by someone on there. I really need to practice my freehand skills if I'm going to try doing this again. So there we have it. That's pretty much it for this month. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them below. I will try and reply as and where I can. I already have next month's theme or paint scheme in mind at the moment. We're just building the model for now. So that'll be the third Armiger I've painted in a row. Month 6 will be the first full-size knight, at which point this collection should start to look a little bit more bulked out. At the moment it's just the 2 Armigers I've got. But doing them this way means at least I have a few weeks each time to plan out what I'm going to do, build the model, test out a couple of ideas, putting paints together to see what works and what doesn't. I'm going to be doing something completely different to these 2 next month. It's going to be a very clean paint job, hopefully. I'm going to see how my masking skills are after 20 years of not having masked a model properly. But each month I want to add to it and do something that's different to the previous month. I don't want all of these models to look the same. That was never the idea going in. It was always going to be, I want 12 individual models that all look different, they all have a different paint scheme, and it lets me build on my skills each month and try something else. each time. So far I've tested technical paints. I know I'm okay with putting grass on things, which is nice. But yeah, as this builds each month, we've got the 2 of them there. But I want each one to look distinct. So we'll be getting on with that fairly soon. And I'll see you again next month for another update. Just a quick little shot here as well of my 2 guys so far on my my collectibles shelf. I think the Batmobile and the David Bowie pop vinyl are going to have to find a new home soon. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Subscribe and like if you want to, and I'll see you again next month. Cheers all.